Most filmmaking channels on YouTube make a bunch of videos about filming and editing, and then pretty much just one video about sound design. And in that video, they remind you that it's important and that you need to do it. We almost never talk about sound here, and when we do, we make it seem like it's a chore, like it's something that's boring and tedious, but something you have to do at the end of your edit. And that's honestly just not the case. If you approach it the right way, sound design can be just as meaningful, just as creative, and just as enjoyable for you as every other part of the filmmaking process. So I want to start a series of a few new videos that go into a bit more detail about sound design than just saying it's important, and showing you how you can use it for your transitions, how you can use it to build a mood in your video. And I want to do that starting with this first video about how you can use sound design to convey a location to your audience. This is important for narrative short films where your viewer needs to know the location where the scene is taking place, but it's just as important for travel videos where at the end of the day, your goal is to take this location and convey to the viewer what it feels like to be there. And what your audience hears will tell them just as much about that experience as what they see. And sound can be used to indicate more than just location. For example, time of day. If you hear birds chirping, you probably assume that it's taking place in the morning. And if you hear crickets, you probably think that it's nighttime. So your first goal when you're doing sound design is to take the way this location, this place sounds, and reconstruct that and share it with your viewer. The best way to do this is just to really think about what you're hearing on the location, and you can even record some sounds while you're there to use as a reference, or even to use in your final video. Using sounds that you recorded on location will give you the most realistic results, but you can also use online sound libraries like the YouTube Audio Library, freesound.org, or other paid services like audio blocks. One type of sound effect you'll need to look for is ambience. This is basically the background noise of your location, and it's something that's heard throughout the entire sequence. If your scene is taking place at the beach, then this ambience might take the form of waves crashing in the background, or if you're filming in a forest, then this might be the sound of wind in the trees. Ambience definitely does quite a lot to convey the sound of a location to your viewer, but the other sounds in your video should reflect that location as well. Think about more detailed sounds that identify your location. So for this downtown sequence, I would use some typical background noise of a city, but for this shot of a barbershop, I would include the sound of clippers and scissors as well. You can take this one step further by including some samples of human dialogue in your videos. One creator who does this very well throughout his videos is J.R. Alley.
This isn't real life right now.
All systems go.
If it's used correctly, this can be a really effective technique because as humans, we pay attention to other people. So when your viewers hear that human voice, they're going to pick up more on that and pay more attention to that than they would to most other sound effects. You can take this one step further by modifying your transition sounds to match the location. So if I'm editing a video that takes place in the forest, then I might use the sound of branches rustling instead of a whoosh. And in a slightly different example, if I'm editing a video that takes place next to a busy street, then I might use the sound of a car passing instead of the same whoosh sound effect. All of these techniques can be used to take a location that you experienced, recreate it, and share it effectively with your viewers. But you also have to keep in mind that you can use sound design to take that location, modify it, and convey it in a slightly different way. You don't necessarily have to convey that location exactly how it actually is. If you want it to seem a bit more moody or a bit happier, then you can do that using sound design. I'm definitely going to talk more about how you can modify your sound effects in a future video, but for now, just keep in mind that sound design gives you the option to exclude sounds. When I went to this waterfall in Iceland, there were a ton of tourists there, so most of the noise that you could hear was either the waterfall or people talking and taking photos. But when I'm editing that sequence, I can easily just not include the sound of all those people talking. So if I exclude that sound and then pair that up with a few shots that don't include any tourists, then as far as the viewer is concerned, I was there all by myself. That's all for this one, but before I end this video off, last week I made a video about natural light, and I asked you all to send in photos that you took using those techniques, so here are a bunch of those. Even though that's all for this first video about sound design, I'm excited to keep making these and see where this series goes, and I hope that you found this one informative, and if you did, do feel free to show your support by leaving a like on the video, sharing it with your friends, or even subscribing to my channel. I upload 2 new filmmaking tutorials every single week. But that's all for this one. Keep creating, and I'll see you in the next one.